and welcome. My name is Brenda Delodder. I'm the Executive Director with the Canadian Spondyloarthritis Association. Spondyloarthritis affects many people. It's very, deeply personal and it affects people in invisible ways. And for many, it can take years of unexplained symptoms of pushing through pain, fatigue, and unanswered questions before finally receiving a diagnosis. And that is quite often the beginning of the journey. So today we're joined by someone who is near the beginning of their journey, someone who has lived with pain for years, but only has recently received a diagnosis. And they've navigated not just the physical challenges, but also the emotional toll of chronic illness while living with other symptoms and facing other health challenges. So, Kayleigh, welcome. We're so pleased to have you with us
Hey.
today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So, you know, Kayleigh, I wonder if we could start with your diagnosis. It was fairly recent, but your symptoms started long before that.
Mhm.
It took some time, right? It took some perseverance on your end and some self advocacy to get the answers that you needed. Can you take
Mhm.
us back to those years and what kind of symptoms were you experiencing?
Well, a lot of lower back pain, obviously, a lot of lower back pain that was presenting as sciatica, and that was kind of the treatment path and diagnosis that doctors and myself were thinking for so long. And like a lot of physical fatigue as well as emotional fatigue. It can be very draining to constantly be in pain or discomfort and not be able to properly like describe it to your medical team or um, yeah, so a
Mhm.
lot of confusion, pain, and discomfort, a lot of tears, unfortunately, but that's also me as an emotional person.
And so, how long have you been diagnosed for?
Just over a year of
Mhm.
my formal diagnosis.
Mhm.
Um, and about like 4 to 6 years of trying to figure out what was causing all this pain and discomfort for me.
And how old were you when you started to first recognize that something wasn't right?
Maybe 19 to 20. I had been working home care, PSW, personal support work for a little bit, which was hurting my back. It's physically demanding work, but it was beyond the typical fatigue that comes with a job like that. And that's when
Mhm.
I really started to go to the doctor and be like, I don't know
Mhm.
what's going on. Can you help me get through the days? Because it's affecting my day to day. And yeah.
Mhm. And could you explain to us a little bit about what it was like emotionally to not have those symptoms recognized or validated or fully understood for so long?
It was very frustrating, upsetting, made me not want to continue trying to, find the answer, like, it was just very draining, even exhausting just trying to describe it that I did not wanna continue at some point, like, I was just like, I'm done with it, whatever, this is my normal."
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And, when you're living in pain with a lot of unanswered questions, it's hard to persevere through that, right? It's hard
Mhm.
for many people to prioritize putting themselves, first and to continue to self advocate.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely, and once it, starts to affect your day to day, it gets to the point where you really need to start pushing for yourself because if it's affecting your day to day, it'll affect your work and so on. And
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. A lot of people living with spondyloarthritis and your form of axSpA, spondyloarthritis. It can be debilitating to continue to navigate the system and to find the answers.
yeah,
Is that what you found in your situation?
that's exactly it. Yeah, it was almost a different weight on top of the the pain and the fatigue and everything. Now you're dealing with the fatigue of fighting for an answer.
Hmm. And then once you found that answer, once you received that diagnosis, what was that like for you to finally have an answer?
Was very bittersweet. It was validating, that there was an answer. What I was going through, there was a reason for it. It wasn't just wear and tear, take an Advil. It was very validating. But then it was also hard to adjust to the fact that this is now something I will be dealing with for the rest of my life. Like, yes, it is an answer. I'm happy to have an answer, but it's now another factor to fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And especially in your younger years, right? When you're at the prime of your life, right? You're building your career, you're building your life, you're
Hmm.
getting your feet underneath you as a young adult, um, and having to adapt to a new disease diagnosis
Yeah.
can be
And
really challenging.
for me personally, my diagnosis came at like a weird point in my life. My work was on the rocks for a little bit. I ended up getting laid off. And when you're having to cope with a new diagnosis, a new way of life, and then finding new work that then you're able to fully do with your physical limitations and different day to day. And yeah, it is a lot, but it's nice that there's a community there and there is a validation, like I said. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so, you just spoke about, some of the physical limitations. Um, can you talk about how do you stay grounded and motivated during, so much transition in your life?
I'm very thankful to have the family and the partner that I do. They're very supportive on days that every day is different and physically and mentally. And when I'm having down days, I'm very thankful to have people that support me through the bad times and let me feel the bad and not just like push through it because then it's compounding. And so I'm very thankful for my support network.
Yeah. And support is a key component for many for disease management. We hear that quite often.
Mhm.
Um, and so, this disease has affected, your daily life, right? All
Mhm.
aspects of your daily life. Um, how, in terms of doing things that you once loved, can you talk about how you had to adapt to that reality of not being able to enjoy the things you once loved doing?
Yeah, it's been tough, because there's some things like I'm young, I still wanted to learn and do some things, and that's true for people at all stages in their life. You never want to stop learning and doing things. This past winter, I was like, oh, I want to learn how to snowboard, but that's realistically not a good hobby for me to pick up with this diagnosis at this. I never did it before. It's probably not a high impact activity is not the best thing for me to pick up now. But there's still things that I can do, and I try to focus on that, and I can adapt things so I can still be able to do them. Um, like I love to draw and create art, but sitting for long periods of time isn't realistic. So being able to adapt so I can stand and sit while I'm doing my art, or I get bad finger swelling and pain in my thumb joints, just as like co-arthritis with my spine, and that can be really hard to hold my stylus or my pen some days, and it's just accepting and adapting.
Yeah, and adapting to what um, uh, to the everyday elements of life, right?
Mhm.
Um, I wonder if maybe do you have any tips or anything that you've learned or any sort of
Hmm.
adaptations that you found helpful? Like, is it if you're writing or drawing, like do you take a break or do you have any tips
Yeah,
for people?
definitely. Like, take a break, listen to your body. If you're starting to cramp up but you're like, "Oh, I really just want to finish this one little section." I personally, I'm like, is it worth it? Like, I know I'm going to sit here and I really want to finish this up, but I'm already starting to feel that cramp or that pain. I know if I sit here for another X amount of time, it's going to be X amount worse. And is that really worth it for me for now I have to deal with this swelling and inflammation when I could have just taken a 15-minute break, got a beverage, had a snack, and came back to it and managed the pain instead of trying to push through like I maybe once would have.
Hmm. That's really interesting. I was speaking with someone recently, and they were talking about how they prioritize certain tasks and how they get through
Mhm.
certain elements of their day. They prioritize the way they do it differently, the process of doing things differently.
Definitely. I write out my to-do list for the day and I'm like, these are top three, but like they are kind of exhausting. Laundry, standing to do dishes and cooking dinner and folding the laundry and putting it all away. Maybe I don't get to folding and putting it away, and some dishes can sit for the night, but I'll give them a little scrub so I don't. I set an expectation, but I might have to adjust it based on what I'm feeling after it.
Yeah, that's a great example. That's a great takeaway. And then I wonder if we could talk about, your emotional resilience is so inspiring. I wonder if you could share a little bit about what that has been like, and how this has impacted your mental well being and your mental health.
Definitely. I mean, I've struggled with my mental health through like my teenage and young adult life, and it took some self-advocating to eventually get my proper diagnosis, proper medication, and everything, and be stable in that aspect of it. And I'm very thankful almost that I went through that, and I had the ability to advocate for myself because that carried over to my diagnosis. In this aspect, it's been a difficult journey, but it makes me who I am, I think. Everyone deals with different things in their life, and I try to think like these are my things that I'm dealing with, and I got to get them under control, and there's definitely correlation between the two, and I think recognizing that has been big. Like when my stress levels are really high and I'm feeling high emotions, that I feel triggers my pain and like stiffness in my back and everything. So I recognize that I need to keep both in line, both in balance to be like a whole me.
Absolutely. And so, when you look at, flare ups or having difficult days, and maybe the difficulty is not just from the axSpA diagnosis, the spondyloarthritis diagnosis. Maybe it's because of the pressures of mental health. Like, how do you get through that?
I am at the point in my life, luckily, where I've realized where I need to let myself feel what I'm feeling, and I need to let my body do what it's doing. If I'm extremely fatigued and exhausted, and I can't get off the couch or I can't get out of bed that day, I don't need to push like that is my body telling me something. And it's been very important to me to learn that I need to start listening to that. There's been a lot of years of trying to push myself through the pain, through the fatigue, and it's just a snowball effect almost.
Yeah. I think that's great, for others to hear that. Just listen to your body. It's giving you the
Mhm.
instructions some days on what you need to do.
And there's no shame or guilt in listening to your body either. Like, it is telling you something for a reason, and you need to listen to it, in my opinion.
And that's a mindset for many, right?
Mhm.
A lot of individuals feel shame because they feel like they're not participating the way others expect them to. And I'm wondering if you could talk about that mindset and that shame just a little bit more.
Yeah, that's exactly it. The shame that you feel you're not participating as others expect, or maybe as you once did, and you're not feeling like your prime anymore, or if you're around people who don't live with axSpA or live with arthritis, and it's an invisible disease, it's an invisible illness. You may look fine, but people expect something different from you, and It can
Hmm.
be hard because you're like, no, I should be able to do these things. People my age can do these things. Like, I should be able to go do these. And it's a hard thing that you have to accept that this is you. Just because people can't see what you're going through doesn't mean that you need to ignore it. Like, you need to accept what you're going through, and that's how it's going to keep going forward.
Hmm. Incredible. Um, and so, you're in your early 20s, you have this, relatively new diagnosis of axSpA, and you've quickly become your own best advocate, right?
Mhm.
Can you tell us about how you've been self-advocating throughout this journey?
Multiple doctor trips, doctor visits of the same complaint of, I have lower back pain. This is not helping. This medication is not helping. This physiotherapy exercises are not helping. I'm doing this, this, and this, and it's not helping. The only thing that was helping me was hot baths for the longest time. It was the only thing that was helping me. And it was just the consistency of going to the doctor, and she was like trying her best to help me, and we're both like trying, and yeah, trying.
Mhm, mhm. Um, and how do you maintain that consistency when you're struggling and you're in pain?
My support, I had people that were pushing me to do it. There's some days, some I remember some nights like tossing and turning in bed because absolutely nothing is comfortable. I couldn't lay in bed without anything hurting. I couldn't stand without anything hurting. Couldn't sit without anything hurting. And just, this is no way of living. This is no life. I deserve to be able to lay in bed comfortably. I deserve to stand, and I deserve to sit in a chair and do normal basic human things without it causing me my body harm, my body pain. And that's what kind of forced me, is like, I deserve better than this. I know I do. I deserve better than this. And even though I don't want to keep going to the doctors over and over and over, I don't want to have to keep making appointments and going for tests, but I don't want to live like this either. And those are the two options.
Hmm. And is there, a word of advice that you could offer someone who's just frustrated and they just want to, um, to take a pause on that persistence and consistency?
Just, you deserve better than what you are feeling right now. If you're living in constant pain or discomfort, you're not feeling your prime. You deserve to feel better than that. And it might not be what you want to do, or it might be an inconvenience to continue making doctor's appointments or continue going for testing, but you deserve to live a better life, a pain-free life, or relatively pain-free life.
Mhm, mhm. A good state of disease management is so important. I think I read something about if your day feels overwhelming, you have a 5 minute rule of thumb. Could you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, just try to, if you're overwhelmed by what's going on in your day, I have to do this and go here, but my body's feeling like I can't handle this. Just try to take a break, handle the next 5 minutes. If pet is hurting and I haven't eaten today, okay, I'll make a snack, and maybe within the next 5 minutes my headache will start to ease away, and I'll feel better because I have a little bit more food in me, and I'll feel like I can take on the next bit of the day, and then I'll try to take on the next bit of the day. If it's still feeling overwhelming, just, what am I going to do in these next 5 minutes? And repeat.
Yeah, that's great advice. And so, clearly you don't let this disease define you, but it's become a part of your journey and your story. And in many ways, it's helped you connect with others and to advocate for yourself in a deeper way. So, what has this journey taught you about yourself that maybe you wouldn't have discovered otherwise?
That I'm a lot stronger than I thought I was. I can do a lot more than I thought I could. Things that I thought I couldn't do, the persistency, I thought I couldn't do that. That's not in my nature, but it teaches me to keep pushing myself, and that's something I've learned.
Mhm. And if you could give a message to someone a young adult, someone in their teens, or a young adult, or anyone for that matter, who has just been diagnosed and feels completely overwhelmed with this diagnosis of a disease that they've never heard of before. What would you say to someone?
Acknowledge that it is overwhelming and you don't have to take it on as one big whole picture. Take it bit by bit. If you have questions, write them down, ask your rheumatologist or your doctor. I find information and learning was really what helped me feel less overwhelmed by it, kind of learning what is expected, possible different paths, etc. So it's just not so overwhelming. But don't try to tell yourself it's not, and just push through it. Acknowledge what you're going through and take it bit by bit.
Yeah, that's great. So I'm wondering if you could tell us a little bit about what gives you hope for your future and for others just starting.
Um, Being asked to do this interview and being included in this project has given me hope that, like, even a story as small as mine, what I'm going through, deserves to be recognized, and that gives me hope for the future of research and education, and that other people can feel included, that arthritis and spondyloarthritis isn't just what you may think of it. It's every like people that you may not think are going through it are they're a part of it, and this gives me hope for my future and for the future of other people just recently diagnosed or that have been diagnosed for a while and are looking for different treatment options or looking for community and people that also relate to their experiences.
Mhm. Absolutely. And so, just as we close off here, I just want to thank you because you've reminded us that being newly diagnosed does not mean being powerless. You found power in your diagnosis, and that is such an inspiration.
Thank you.
And it can mean a stepping stone and a new kind of awareness.
Hmm.
Um, you've also reminded us to be compassionate and kind and gracious to ourselves and to prioritize ourselves, which is really, really important. Spondyloarthritis is comes in many different forms. Today we're talking about axSpA, ankylosing spondylitis, but it comes in other forms such as psoriatic arthritis, enteropathic arthritis, and juvenile arthritis, among others. And more than 500,000 Canadians are impacted by this form of arthritis. In fact, spondyloarthritis is the number one inflammatory arthritis in the country. So, for those who are looking for support and for other videos just like this, please go to our website. And to everyone watching, thank you. Your newly diagnosed it can be the beginning of a journey. And I just wanted to say that you're not alone. For more information, please go to sparthritis.ca. And thank you for watching.